Ladies and gentlemen, how you all doing? This is Colin Ulrich.
And I'm Angru, hello, hello, hello.
And folks, to close out our coverage this week of the SD2 Season 3 league that's going on, we actually have ourselves a couple of Americans duking it out over here in Ocean North. Rang, who is fighting and why with what?
So on left-hand side in blue, we have Taiga Run playing as 2nd Infantry with Flatline income. And on the right-hand side, we have Tuuk playing as 3rd Armoured with a V4 Victory income. And why they're fighting, maybe it's a civil war.
I thought maybe it's like, maybe Tuuk said something about Taiga's girlfriend, or I don't know, it could have been anything really. But, 3rd Armoured. The 3rd Armoured debut, I think, actually for us as well, in the wake of the recent addition over here to the front.
We've seen them before.
We have. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. I just got distracted looking at the M8 not killing a truck, but forcing it into an engine stall, which I don't think I've actually ever seen happen to a transport truck. But
it's not ideal.
No, anything but it really.
But yeah, this is a pretty interesting matchup. I mean, it's a North American matchup, but it's American on American. And the 2nd Infantry, as I know, is currently a real powerhouse so far in the current new division lineup. So see how they work against another American division. The Infantry versus the Armoured. Your Pattons versus the Bradley, all of that.
Well, we can find out already the Ranger Marauders continue to be as deadly as they ever were. Taking out 2 half-tracks down to the south. But what level of artillery is being brought on in? That's a... Oh, yeah, it's the
155.
Yeah. That's when I say 203, and I'm like, that's not really an American caliber.
No.
But I kind of like this quick barrage being dropped on down to the sniper, rifle leaders, engineers. I can understand why. You want to hold on to that long houses for as long as possible. So.
Yeah. We got a nice little armoured push here with the flamethrowers and some armoured rifles, as well as the half-tracks and Stuart. So yeah, once your artillery is dropped down, you can rush on through and try to pick up what's left. Which is not a lot. Holy moly.
No, it isn't. Actually, I'm very surprised by the efficacy of that barrage.
Just blew up bloody everything. That's a hill under Tuuk's control. The rest of the map is actually really quiet. Neither side really pushing anywhere else. Well, Tiger's pushing a bit up north, but he doesn't really have much to stop him.
Not yet, but we are going to see a little bit of their American battle group, a couple engineers, a couple of stewards with their attendant half-tracks. So it's enough as a stopgap measure. I think, considering what's there right now, they should be able to hold them back as long as the stewards keep their distance. But outside of that, I think you're right. More basics being thrown on in. Yes, sir. Coming in right now, actually, isn't it? Regrettably, I think... Oh, wow, never mind. I thought we were going to be outside the area of effect.
It's always funny how it looks like the off-map will miss because the infantry leaves the circle, but it's actually larger than it really is, it feels like, sometime. Which is a good thing and a bad thing, depending on the situation.
Depending on who's giving and receiving.
Yes.
I think I was listening to something on YouTube the other day, a Lindy Page video actually, noting that I think there was a comment that you had to put 1 shell within 200 yards of a man to kind of keep his head down, 6 shells to fully suppress him, and like 15 shells per minute to force him to surrender. It's a really, really strange kind of numbers that really did kind of call a little more into mind for me maybe how the AoE works in this game. Memory serves, there was some sort of Sandhurst study back during World War II.
Imagine just being that guy, like, okay, Tommy, stand in that trench and tell me when you start feeling scared.
Do you feel like surrendering yet? Yes, Core, I want to get out of here.
Oh, the bazooka just head on
did.
against a Sherman, and he came out victorious.
Well, there's a 60 mils that have just been firing off all of their rounds to, I wouldn't say minimal effect, but it's been surprisingly light effect. And actually, we're also seeing the Ranger Marauders being as deadly as they ever are. taking out a leader unit behind enemy lines. They may not hold territory, but by gosh darn it, they can make it uninhabited of other troops.
Yeah, and the real problem that second infantry will face in this matchup is trying to knock out the armor. I mean, they have Shermans of their own, but the infantry are pretty lacking in the AT department. So those few Ranger Marauders and Bazooka Squad that he gets are going to be very vital, especially in his southern side, to try and pick off those tanks or two.
Well, look at this northern side right now. We actually see this flamethrower, sitting up against this Stewart. And, I'm surprised the Stewart is handling with this with as much, say, apathy as he is.
That's just a little bit of fire.
Dude, if my tank is lighting on fire, I am... It's going to be a very difficult situation, let's just put it that much.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole southern side is completely role reversed here, as Taiga has managed to, capture the entire bloody hill, and, he's not happy about that. He's got off-map being dropped in on the position, and some more infantry being brought in.
And you have to feel bad for those basics that are being brought on in. I mean, these guys don't want to be anywhere near the front lines, but, yikes. You want to know who did win in that front line, though? It is those mortars.
Yeah. Second infantry has such a strong house of artillery. I mean, I believe. Okay, the 60mm mortars don't have radios, but I know the 80s and 107s do, which is huge. But even then, 60mm mortars, I mean, not the highest caliber, but they shoot pretty fast.
They certainly do. When you have an artillery park of 4 of them, also. Artillery might drop a little bit long here, but going back to what I just said last time about the artillery, what do I know? Some Zook teams being rushed onto the front. Yeah, I would be ditching out right now.
Jump! A little bit far away to get the Zukov, but
like you said, I mean,
yeah.
Ranger Marauder sitting in this southern house down here. And maybe we'll see a couple of tanks being swung around to try to get it up and in. I know there's definitely a couple of Stewarts being brought forward.
I'm actually quite surprised we haven't seen Tuuk try to maybe push the middle area of the map, considering he is the armored division. He would have a bit of a better time with a more open ground engagement rather than trying to grind it over the forest. Because in the infantry game, third armored, I mean the infantry's good, but you don't get a lot of it compared to second infantry.
No, you do not. But I think the off map is out of shells. I think that's his third. Is his third?
Yeah.
Is his third?
That was his third. So he's just a pillbox now, a mobile pillbox.
That's true. He's one of the few guys who actually gets something to defend himself. He's not like everybody else that's like, oh, you got a radio to call in big guns. You're fine. Also, we had some crazy amounts of smoke being dropped into that southern forest, south central forest. Interesting decisions there.
But yeah, it's just a real grind over the southern side, and just looking at it numbers rise, Taiga just has much more stuff and more support. Jesus Christ! We're at 60mm fire, just spreading the explosives all over the place.
Well, I am surprised we're actually not going to see any kind of supply truck being brought out in. Right? Incorrect? Nope. More Shermans, but no supply trucks. So
yeah.
The mortars are going to run dry soon.
Yeah, hopefully get a supply truck out soon. You got a half track trying to make a beeline for the southern hill, or the middle southern hill. Kinda gets blown up by an anti-tank gun, which is not how I'd want to go.
Yeah, I'd argue there's many ways I would want to go, but that certainly is definitely up there.
Oh, it's armored rifle squad behind enemy lines here. If he jumps into that building, he could get himself a nice Sherman kill.
I think he hears you. I'm not going to be sure, but I think he might hear you. They see each other. Yep.
Shoots through the crack of, shoots just through the tiny gap of that buildings and gets a kill. It's really quite surprised they model, that little
Well,
little hole between the buildings.
They grow big down on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what gets interesting. Because we have V for victory here. So what, 120, 180, 80, that's going to be absolutely devastating to go the other direction. As I'd be very surprised if we don't get some crazy amount of tanks, crazy amount of, everything, really.
Yeah, V for victory is a very, like, nerf or nothing sort of income. He's either going to win in these 20 minutes or he's lost, because once you get to C phase, you're just done for. And right now, it's not looking great for Tuuk. I mean, he's into B phase now, he's losing by quite a bit, so he's going to have to try and grab a lot of territory somewhere. And looking up north, he's kind of lost all of that territory.
Worse yet, actually, we have a Ranger Marauder coming in behind enemy lines. He's going to probably pick up at least this M4A1 coming through, and potentially as well. Yep, got the leader tank as well. Who cares, man? He traded up.
Yeah, that was a rough raw sacrifice. Got more off map being dropped in down south.
Yep, another 155. Now, there's a P-38 coming in with 900 kilograms worth of bombs. It's against a jumbo, though. Yeah. Yeah. If that didn't happen, I think I'd be angry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a lot of bombs, but goddamn, that's a really good kill, because those jumbos are a pain in the ass to kill regularly. So being able to just knock it out from the air in a reliable fashion is definitely worthwhile. And the Mustang trying to catch up to the P-38.
It should be able to. It's another 60 or 70 kilometers on it. Yep.
And that off-map down south making some pretty good hits on Taiga's lines, but there's a lot of infantry and a lot of tanks down south.
But that Sherman that has bedeviled his forces gets forced into a surrender, at least.
Mm-hmm. And he goes half-track just booking it through, and once again, another half-track goes down.
You know, it's one of those things that I'm surprised we haven't seen more troops being brought on in over here for Tuukkaraski. With a V for victory income, I feel like I should be seeing a lot more red than what I do.
Yeah, I feel with the armored rifles and whatnot, usually a little bit more expensive. Because, I mean, they're 20 points, which is pretty average, but you always have to take them for half-track, which adds up a little bit. Alright, that's only like 5 points, but it still adds up a bit. And you don't get a lot of an availability rise. So really you're spending that money more on tanks. Lots of tanks.
But I haven't seen many tanks coming in the last 3 minutes. I think I've seen, a dozen units or so.
Yeah, this has been some Shermans here and there. Nothing too crazy. I mean, he had the jumbo, but it's no longer a jumbo.
Wait, what's that coming in here?
It's a jumbo go.
B-26 coming in after Taiga's Sherman, maybe.
Yeah. And he has 1,800 kilograms worth of bombs.
Well, some guys have to just prove something, I guess.
I think it's just an indiscriminate bomb and run on the forest.
Well, when the bombs are that big, it's kind of hard to make that more discriminate. Yeah, but it didn't do too much damage. It only just scared off some guys for just the time being. And yeah, I feel like Tuuk is really... He really should be pushed in the middle somewhere else, because he's getting way too bogged down tunnel vision on this southern choke point here, and it's just not working. No, it isn't. We're going to see another cheeky Ranger Marauder shot coming out of the forest, going for that OP. And OP it is.
I think it was a run of ammunition. I think he used up... That was the second one that's used up its final ammunition, but... Still, these Ranger Marauders have been... I wouldn't say they've been MVP, but they've been very good in their ability of blowing up tanks.
Yes. Yes. Now, there's still M4A3s that are starting to hit the field here, and those things are a little bit more difficult to kill from a, purely tank-on-tank standpoint. Even that 57mm we see goes down. But when a push comes to shove, they're just a slightly up-armored Sherman. There's not a whole lot to write home about.
It's still pretty even, and there we go, armored rifles, Zooks. The 2nd Infantry Sherman, yeah. That's the one nice thing I really like about 3rd Infantry, or 3rd Infantry, 3rd Mechanized, is that all your infantry just have bazookas on them, and they're also really well equipped infantry. Like, they're seriously some of the best in game. Well, not some of the best in game, but they're useful for what they are.
Certainly to be the case. I'm sorry, I was just watching an airstrike on the north taking out another Sherman.
Yeah.
The gains of the earlier part of the match have been given away somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still 15-9.
Yeah, Taiga's in a pretty good defensive position still down south. It's just one of those things where all he has to do is pile in bodies, yeah, and he'll pretty much hold it.
Well, that's what he's doing. He's got 6 more squads moved to the front.
Mm-hmm. And once again, Tuuk really needs to push, like, somewhere in the mid. This is not good for him at all. Because he's throwing all these troops into his choke point, and then the troops will die. Rinse and repeat, B-26, drop it in some big runs.
That was surprisingly mild.
Yeah.
Was it the 50 kg B-26?
Yeah, it might have been the 50 kg one, the carpet bomber.
Just watching as this consistently seems to be, like you said, a bogged down, knock down, drag out fight. You know, I always forget the 2nd actually gets a couple of rhinos themselves, but we see one of those right now coming in down south. Just do exactly the same thing that everybody else is doing. Walk point, take some hits, and that's it. Also worth mentioning to the north, there was a bit of a push as these engineers kind of swung back to try to go and open up lines back to the red side of things. But they have just been cut down and mercilessly shot by basics and rifles.
Yeah. The Rufus M15 here, a bit of fire support. Oh no, it's an AT gun. He's gonna run into our AT gun, and...
Skirmish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty expensive anti-aircraft unit to lose.
They're ridiculously effective in both anti-air and anti-ground.
Mm-hmm.
And down south, we continue to see these bazookas reap a bloody tally among their opposite number.
Yeah, it's just been, like, a death crossroad here.
Well, I mean,
all sides have been throwing everything in.
You just want to look at the number of burning piles of smoke. I can count a dozen of them easily, and then starts getting kind of hazy from there.
Oh yeah, if you zoom in into the map, it's just smoke. It's lots and lots of smoke. Quite eerie.
It is. It is. And this part of the road is the wide part.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a couple of last armored riflemen BARs desperate to hold up the approach here. They don't do it any longer than a couple of seconds. They do go down. And not even bringing in strafing attacks will deter the 2nd Infantry. It is a little curious to me to see an armored division struggle so much to kind of shift, at least the infantry assets, but I think a lot of this has been due to the rather sneaky anti-tank play. Is that a fair way to put it, you think?
Yeah, the bazookas and just the whole southern side being so dense makes it really hard for armored assets to do anything. We're seeing in the middle, he's starting to do a little bit of a mechanized push here with tanks and infantry and whatnot. It's actually working pretty well. As we've seen the rest of the map, it's very barren of actual 2nd infantry or anti-tank guns at all. This is really a good place for him to push. Need those wide open spaces. And oh, Gabby's in the field, and Gabby gets it head on.
Surprised, actually, because I would have thought the M15 would have been a little bit more terrifying for him.
He's so fast and so agile.
That
M15 is a hard time.
He's smoking just because he wants to.
Mm-hmm. All the cool kids do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But while there has been this rotation up here, in this rather tentative push to the center, I don't think it's going to happen with anywhere near the amount of time that it needs to become truly effective.
No, I don't think so, but It makes me so sad to see. We finally see a little bit of proper armored push in the middle, but it's coming way too late. We got the off map here from Tug. Trying to just clear out southern area. I mean, it's not much there. It's only a single rifleman squad, but he doesn't know that.
Well, we might see that P-47 pretty quickly here. Going over top of both the Tri-Post and, well, the Tri-Post wannabe. With the Bofors and another P-51 in the air, wouldn't be surprised if he buys the super quickly. Yep, there we go. Bombing going back to the south in the meantime as well. Doesn't accomplish a huge amount.
Nope.
And since now we're to Phase C, that income is going to get awfully small for Tuukkaraski.
Yeah, he's gonna have to work on the budget now.
Well, I feel like he's definitely misused his tanks throughout this today. I know you've mentioned several times, why go through the sides when you can just kind of penetrate the middle and then roll up either flank?
Yeah. And once again, this is like a good example of, everyone does this in every RTS game, including me.
Yeah.
Real tunnel vision. Never tunnel vision like this. If you push on a flank for 5 to 10 minutes and you're not getting anywhere, consider pushing somewhere else. Because we see all the assets are down south. Rest of the map, on the blue side, is barren. You could easily do some half-track rushing, grab a whole lot of territory, and then put the fight where you want it to be.
Exactly. Exactly. Don't fight the fight your enemy wants you to fight.
Yeah. Because then you'll lose that fight.
Exactly.
And then you won't be able to fight any longer.
True. And actually, we should say that lone rifleman survived the entire artillery barrage to get shellacked by 3 squads of engineers, 3 half-tracks, 2 turtle doves, and a minor defeat in Tuukkaraski's pear tree. But the KD was surprisingly close.
Yeah, both sides were just really going at it down south, and looking at kills, yeah.
There's Trevino, who's got himself a good number of kills, maybe not the highest quality.
Yeah, looking at losses.
Haynes, Ranger Marauder, 4 kills. Imler, 3 kills. I mean,
Aaron did pretty decent.
They're not the cheapest AT, but at the same time, when you can use that to kill a couple of half-tracks, a couple of tanks, they pay for themselves rather significantly.
Yeah. But I was quite surprised the Americans won that match, huh?
Yeah, I really thought they would look like the Americans were going to throw it for a bit.
Yeah, but they managed to pull it in at the end. Who would have thunk?
Exactly. It's one of the mysteries of the universe, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what, Rang? I feel like that should probably end our coverage this week for the SD2 League.
Yep.
Any final thoughts for our listeners?
None. Just expect more League replays next week.
Indeed. Folks, until next time then, I'm Con Ulrich.
I'm Rangru. Take it easy.